Let's just jump right in, shall we? Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're plunging straight down into the darkest, most high-pressure environments on our planet to look at some phenomena that, well, genuinely baffle the experts. And to be totally clear right up front, we aren't talking about myths or internet rumors or old sailors' legends today. We are looking exclusively at documented, photographed, and scientifically recorded discoveries from the deep ocean that researchers still cannot fully explain. It's a wildly fascinating journey, so let's get right into the data.
To really understand why these mysteries even exist in the first place, we have to wrap our heads around the sheer scale of what we don't know. The deep ocean covers more than half of the Earth's surface, right? Yet we have successfully mapped and explored less than 20% of it. Think about that for a second. That massive 80% slice is just pure, unmapped darkness. What lives down there? What's sitting on the seafloor? What ancient structures might be hiding beneath that crushing pressure? It's literally an entirely unknown world right here on Earth.
And when we do finally take a look, we often stumble upon things we just aren't prepared for. Take this documented encounter from 2004. A team of marine biologists lowered a camera deep into the Pacific Ocean, and the quote from the log is chilling. They watched in silence as something enormous moved through the darkness below them. As they noted at the time, it wasn't a whale and it wasn't a submarine. And to this day, nobody has any idea what it was. I think this perfectly sets the stage for our deep dive today. We're looking at undeniable evidence of the unexplained.
All right, Section 1, Structures in the Dark, Physical Mysteries.
Okay, so what's really wild is the sheer strangeness of the Baltic Sea Anomaly. Back in June 2011, a Swedish treasure hunting team called Ocean X was scanning the floor of the Baltic Sea, roughly 300 feet down. They hit upon this massive circular object. It's about 200 feet across, has a flat top, raised edges, and, get this, drag marks stretching nearly 1,000 feet behind it, almost as if it had skidded to a stop on the ocean floor. But the real kicker? The electromagnetic effect. Whenever divers got within 200 meters of this thing, every single piece of electronic equipment, cameras, satellite phones, dive computers, just shut down completely, like a giant kill switch. The second they swam away outside that radius, everything powered right back up. And this wasn't a one-off. It happened repeatedly.
So, what the heck is it? Well, we have two competing theories here. On one side, geologists suggest it's a natural glacial deposit, basically a weird rock formation created by moving ice thousands of years ago. On the flip side, other researchers point out the object's artificial symmetry, its sharp angles, and its structural regularity, arguing that it's incredibly difficult to explain those features through purely natural processes. We certainly aren't taking sides here, but it's worth noting that the debate is completely deadlocked. No definitive identification has ever been made. It's just sitting down there.
Let's travel over to another physical anomaly, this one just off the southern coast of Japan, the Yonaguni Monument. Sitting roughly 25 meters underwater, this sandstone structure is absolutely massive. We're talking 150 meters long and 40 meters wide, but the mystery really lies in its specific features. It has these enormous flat terraces, razor-sharp right angles, perfectly parallel walls, and even things that look like arches and stadium seating. It's an incredibly specific geometric layout.
Just like the Baltic Anomaly, the scientific community is totally split on how this got here. One camp argues these are purely natural sandstone fractures. They say it's just the natural way the specific rock breaks along flat plains. But natural sandstone doesn't exactly make a habit of producing perfectly parallel walls and symmetrical staircases, right? Which brings us to the other theory, championed by Japanese geologist Masaaki Kimura. He argues that tool marks and precision angles prove deliberate construction. If he's right about that, it means this structure would have been above water at least 10,000 years ago. That would make it older than the Egyptian pyramids, completely rewriting the timeline of human civilization in the Pacific. So again, it's an open, fascinating debate with no conclusive proof either way.
Moving right along to Section 2, Oceans of Glowing Light, Visual Mysteries.
To really grasp the staggering scale of our next phenomenon, I want you to just picture this number: 6,000 square miles. For centuries, sailors traveling through the Indian Ocean reported these crazy nights where the sea didn't just flicker but actually glowed wall to wall, basically turning the ocean into the surface of an alien planet. For a long time, this was dismissed as just another tall tale, until 2005 when satellite imagery finally proved it was absolutely real. They captured an unbroken patch of glowing blue-white ocean surface covering nearly 6,000 square miles. We now call this the Milky Sea.
Now, the prevailing scientific theory is that this glow is caused by bioluminescent bacteria, specifically a strain called Vibrio harvii. But there is a massive flaw in this theory. What exactly triggers trillions of bacteria to switch on all at the same time? To light up an area that massive, you'd need hundreds of trillions of them. Bioluminescence in a single fish or squid is well understood, sure, but science has absolutely no mechanism to explain what triggers a coordinated bloom on this scale. How do hundreds of trillions of organisms gather, flip the light switch at the exact same moment, and then maintain a steady glow for days while drifting as a single mass? It remains a genuine unsolved puzzle.
And the deeper you go, the more secrets bioluminescence seems to hide. Take the sequence of events known as the deep sea flashback, discovered between 650 and 3,000 feet down in the Indian Ocean. Filmmaker Jacob Harrell found that if you introduce a sudden burst of light at just the right threshold, completely unrelated creatures in the surrounding water respond. But they don't do it randomly. They react in a coordinated wave of bioluminescence that spreads outward, like a ripple across the water, linking entirely different species.
So here is the crucial point to take away from this. There is simply zero known biological mechanism for unrelated deep-sea species to synchronize a light response like that. Researchers have hypothesized it might be a strategy to confuse predators, or maybe some bizarre form of communication. But honestly, neither of those theories explains how creatures with absolutely no known connection to one another can respond to the exact same signal at the exact same millisecond across a vast area of pitch-black ocean. We've confirmed it happens, but the why and the how are just completely blank pages.
Which brings us to Section 3, the sounds from below, audio mysteries.
Let's look at this incredible audio dossier recorded by hydrophones stationed deep in the ocean. First up is the Western Pacific bio-twang, captured deep in the Mariana Trench. This thing spans multiple frequencies simultaneously and matches absolutely no known whale call or geological process. Then there's the slowdown, recorded in 1997. It was an immensely powerful sound that descended steadily in pitch over 7 long minutes. It was picked up across the entire Pacific array, meaning it was incredibly loud, but it never, ever repeated. And finally, the most famous of all, also from 1997, the Bloop. It had the distinct audio profile of a living biological creature, but the math showed that whatever made it would have to be physically larger than any known animal on Earth.
To truly wrap your mind around the Bloop, just look at this number, 3,000 miles. That is the massive radius over which underwater microphones operated by NOAA simultaneously detected this one sound. It was an ultra-low frequency, way too low for human ears to pick up without speeding up the tape, but it possessed just staggering acoustic power. Again, if this was an animal, it would have to be several times larger than a blue whale. We are talking larger than anything ever found, even in the fossil record.
Now, to keep us totally grounded in the science here, NOAA's officially accepted theory is that the Bloop was caused by an ice quake, which is the cracking and shifting of massive Antarctic ice shelves. And to be completely fair, most scientists accept this geological explanation. It perfectly accounts for the massive volume and that deep, low-frequency rumble. It makes a lot of sense.
But here's a little eerie detail that usually gets left out of the dry scientific reports. The exact origin point calculated for the Bloop sits almost directly above Point Nemo. That is the most remote spot in the entire ocean, further from land than literally anywhere else on Earth. But decades before modern oceanography even mapped that point, the legendary horror author H.P. Lovecraft placed his fictional, monstrous sunken city of R'lyeh at almost those exact same coordinates. So it's either the most remarkable coincidence in the history of weird science, or it's a thought experiment that nobody really wants to take to its logical conclusion.
Finally, Section 4, the accidental discoveries.
The deep ocean is, by far, the largest living space on our planet. It features depths where the pressure alone would instantly crush a military submarine, temperatures hovering just barely above freezing, and complete eternal darkness. It's absolutely wild to think about, but we have actually sent more human beings to the surface of the moon than we have to the bottom of the Mariana Trench. We simply lack the tools and honestly, maybe the willingness to fully answer what is producing these massive sounds, what built these structures, or what is coordinating these lights.
Which leaves us with this final, highly provocative thought. Every single anomaly we walk through today, the Yonaguni Monument, the Bloop, the Milky Sea, that crazy flashback, every single one of them was discovered totally by accident. We just stumbled onto them while we were looking for other things. So the real question is this: if all of this was found by pure chance, hidden inside the 20% of the ocean we've actually mapped, what exactly is waiting for us in the dark when we finally start looking? Thanks so much for joining me on The Explainer today. Keep your curiosity sharp, and I'll see you all next time.